Last week in Michigan politics, as the Democratic National Convention took over Chicago, the two major parties battling for the spotlight as former President Donald Trump paid a visit to our state. Plus, our state's minimum wage is set to get higher faster. Why some in the service industry say they're not on board with all that'll come with it. I'm Josh Alburtus, and this is your 13 on your side rundown. As Democrats from around the country flocked to Chicago for the party's national convention this week, multiple high-level Michigan Democrats were seemingly front and center. Longtime politicians from the state, like Governor Gretchen Whitmer and Senator Gary Peters, took to the stage over multiple nights of the convention.
I was raised in a union household. My father was a teacher, and my mother a nurse's aide. And Kamala Harris and Tim Walz grew up just like me. And I know they will fight for all of us.
Governor Whitmer taking the stage on the final night of the DNC on Thursday ahead of an acceptance speech from Vice President Kamala Harris for her party's nomination.
No, in a crisis, we need someone strong enough to come up with a plan, to tell the truth, and to bring people together. Right now, before the crisis, is when we get to choose. Why wouldn't we choose the leader who's tough, tested, and a total badass?
Those like State Senator Majority Leader Winnie Brinks, Senate candidate Alyssa Slotkin, and Genesee County Sheriff Chris Swanson also had time at the podium. Some recent polls have suggested momentum for the Harris campaign in swing states like Michigan following Joe Biden's exit from the race last month. But that seemingly hasn't deterred the Republican ticket, which was active in battleground states throughout the week. And as such, as the Democratic National Convention continued in Chicago, former President Donald Trump visited our state to focus on topics of crime and safety. We followed what he had to say.
We're going to take this country, we're going to make it safe again, and we're going to make America great again. And I want to thank everybody for being here, and God bless you all. Thank you.
As Democrats gather in their Chicago stronghold for the party's national convention through this week, former President Donald Trump holding a press conference in Howell on Michigan's East Side Tuesday, billed as remarks on crime and safety.
I will deliver law, order, safety, and peace, and I will protect those who protect us. These people protect us. These are unbelievable people. They protect us. We have to protect them.
Trump seemingly battling for the national narrative with Democrats who are hoping to generate momentum this week in the Midwest's largest city.
They don't need to watch Donald Trump. You're just going to hear the same racist stuff they hear from every time he comes to Michigan, every time he goes anywhere. But when you watch the Democratic National Convention for all four of these nights, you're going to see people on this stage who reflect the boldness, the diversity, and the beauty and the opportunity that exists all across America.
At least one high-level Democrat saying she sees irony in the message, given Trump's recent felony convictions.
I find it to be the greatest of ironies that Trump is in town to talk about crime and public safety when, the thing that we know most about Donald Trump is he himself is a one-man crime wave.
But Trump specifically honing in on what he purports as crime relating to the border and thanking law enforcement for their service.
We want them to come in legally. On day one, we will begin the largest domestic deportation operation in the history of our country, bigger than Dwight Eisenhower. We want a crime-free America. We're going to stop violent crime in the United States. And it's people like this that can do the job better than anybody. They do the job justly and fairly.
Following Trump's event in Howell, Michigan's Bureau of Elections has now opened an investigation into the Livingston County Sheriff's Office and Sheriff Mike Murphy after campaign finance complaints were made. That's according to a spokesperson for the Department of State here in Michigan, who told us in a statement we received Friday morning, in part, quote, "I can confirm that the Bureau of Elections has received 2 complaints as of this afternoon against the Livingston County Sheriff's Office and Sheriff Murphy regarding alleged violations of the Michigan Campaign Finance Act and will investigate. She added that she could not give any additional information until the investigation is complete and a determination is made in this case. The Bureau's determination, she said, will be shared publicly. As for the sheriff, ahead of the event, Murphy spoke on Facebook and labeled it as a press conference and not a political event. In response to 13 on Your Side's request for comment Friday, Murphy wrote, quote, "I don't believe I violated the Campaign Finance Act. I welcome the investigation." A voting alert from the state secretary's office on Friday. Michigan voters can now request an absentee ballot for the November 5th general election. There are 3 ways you can request an absentee ballot. You can either do it online, by mail, or by visiting your local clerk's office. You can also learn more information on how to cast your vote by going to the state's website, michigan.gov/vote. And something you may have heard a lot this year, Kent County is key this election season. But what makes it so critical to the different campaigns? We traveled around the county to get the answer. Kent County was once a pinnacle of Republican prowess here in West Michigan, town of Jerry Ford. But through recent elections, things have gotten a lot tighter, and a lot of people have started to see it as a battleground. Why is that? We have pretty much everything campaigns are looking for, from the cities to the more suburban areas around Grand Rapids, to the more rural areas as you get towards the outer parts of the county. And with all of these different kinds of areas all wrapped into one county, you find something that you don't necessarily find in a lot of other counties when it comes to different voting trends all at once in many different areas that campaigns are looking towards when they're seeking to hone their message and win their elections. From this week's DNC,
I can't possibly overstate the importance of West Michigan coming out to vote.
To multiple recent high-profile visits from the GOP.
We love Kent County, and we think that it's going to be an important part of the election.
And with the current voting trends and President Joe Biden being only the second Democratic presidential nominee to carry the county in the 21st century, the battleground reputation is starting to stick.
I would put the electorate in the state of Michigan into 3 pots, sort of loyal Trump voters, mostly in rural areas and small towns, outside of the Detroit Metro, outside of Grand Rapids Metro. Another set of electorate is really in the cities, Detroit area, Flint, part of Grand Rapids, Muskegon, etc., which is really a base constituency for the Harris campaign.
The third, he said, are what he called a cross-pressured group.
They're old-time Jerry Ford Republicans, or there used to be pro-life Democrats. And so there's a lot of independent voters as well who would be close by.
While the constant spotlight may make voters weary, this expert said he hopes people can appreciate it.
Because we are a pivotal place, a swing place for the presidential election.
Changes are set to come to the minimum wage here in Michigan. Up next, we're explaining why not everyone who could be affected is on board. A recent ruling from the Michigan Supreme Court said a minimum wage increase is coming to our state on a faster timeline. But some workers and restaurateurs are saying they're not on board with what this ruling is allowing. We talked with local workers to learn their thoughts and explain what lawmakers may be planning to do in response.
Me personally, I make more in tips than I would with minimum wage.
It's people like Haley Jones, working at Sundance in downtown Grand Rapids, who says she could be impacted by the recent ruling that is set to raise the state's minimum wage to $12 an hour plus inflation adjustment by 2028, but do away with the state's tip credit by 2029.
I haven't heard, honestly, a single person that's really agreed with it.
The ruling came out of laws passed by the state legislature in 2018. That year, organizers had sought to put petitions to the state legislature on whether to raise the state's minimum wage to at least $12 an hour by 2022 and essentially do away with the tip credit. That tip credit says that the minimum wage for tipped workers can stand at 38% of the general minimum wage, with tips being made to supplement that. At the time, the legislature accepted, passing laws putting in place what would have been in those petitions. The legislature then amended their laws, keeping that 38% steady and slowing the minimum wage hike to instead reach $12 by 2030.
Almost every single server, every single wait staff that I've talked to, they want to continue the status quo.
But the state Supreme Court just weeks ago ruling that so-called adopt and amend strategy the legislature used in 2018 unconstitutional. Now, the court ruled the minimum wage increases will follow the same timeline they would have under the original laws over the next 5 years. Now, some like Jones fear what they see as the potential consequences.
People are coming, and obviously the prices would get raised if restaurants have to pay servers more. So they're paying more for their meals in general, and they know that we're getting paid a higher hourly wage, so they're going to be less inclined to tip.
Some also fear the possibility that given more base wage pay across the board, job cuts in the industry may have to be made. Given the concerns, lawmakers from both sides of the aisle meeting with workers at Sundance on Thursday to talk about what could potentially be done to reach a solution.
I see some, if you will, low-hanging fruit. I don't want to speak to details because, that needs to be worked out, but I think there are definitely some positive ways forward.
My preferred method would be to go back to the 2018 legislation, 2019, whatever year it was, and to preserve that. That would be my preferred choice, but there's probably a middle ground in between there. Whatever gets the job done, I'm all for it.
The first phase of the new minimum wage and tip credit timeline is set to take effect in February. In the 6 months until then, some believe the clock is ticking for the legislature to come up with a fix. Restoring the rapids in Grand Rapids has been a goal for the city government for years. Coming up, the latest on a key first step being made to put a plan into action. Looking to Kent County now and the increase in the lodging tax. The county's lodging tax is going up to 8% after the Kent County Commission approved a 3% increase at their meeting this week. Voters gave the county the go-ahead to do so after approving the option in this month's primary. The additional money is expected to help fund projects like the Grand Rapids Amphitheater, a proposed soccer stadium, and a potential aquarium. The new venues are expected to generate more than $1.2 billion in economic growth and hundreds of new jobs. Construction on the amphitheater is already underway. The city government in Grand Rapids, alongside multiple public and private partners, made a key first step this week in the work to restore the rapids in the Grand River. Divers began relocating thousands of endangered snuffbox mussels to keep them safe during construction. Up to 20 divers will be searching in the waters between Fulton Street and I-196 to locate, tag, and safely remove the around 15,000 mussels in the area now through October. This is the first part of a project that is 15 years in the making for putting the rapids back in Grand Rapids. City officials and dive team members whom we spoke with say that this is a critical step to protect the biodiversity of this river as the city looks to continue towards its goal of restoring the rapids by removing the low head dams. The mussels will be taken to locations both up and downstream.
I just want to say thank you not just to Whitewater, but to the entire city team that has worked so hard on this. We have incredible partners at the federal level, at the state level, and a whole host of federal and state departments. They have been with us on this journey, helping us remove barriers, but also helping us try to figure out problems when they come up.
We know historically the rocks, the boulders, the things that they like were actually stripped out of the river. And the project has been very intentional about trying to design those habitats and put those habitats back. And our goal at the end of this, 5, 10, 15 years from now, we hope to come back and actually see a better, healthier mussel population in the river in this project area.
In May, the City Commission approved a $1.26 million contract with Biosurvey Group, who will be doing the work to relocate all these mussels. And the city is still going through the permit process with the state to remove the dams. They are hoping to get a decision by the end of this year, saying construction could begin in July of 2025. And controversy continued this week over an EV battery plant set for Mecosta County. Why some are standing behind the plan and others are saying it's not what the community needs. That's next. Continuing coverage on the Goan battery plant that's set for Mecosta County. Those for and against the $2 billion EV battery plant held separate rallies near the land where the facility is scheduled to be built. This comes just a week after Goan had a victory in the courts, with a U.S. district judge ruling that the township needed to cooperate with Goan and follow their previous development agreement as their current lawsuit plays out. 13 on your side's Micah Cho has what both sides of the issue were saying this week as the fight continues to heat up.
American flags and no Goan signs were scattered throughout the backyard of Lori Brock's Frisian horse farm.
We have a huge lineup of people that all are supporting us, our fight here, and I couldn't be more proud and more humbled as well.
She, along with other neighbors in Green Charter Township, have been working to keep Goan and VP of North American Operations Chuck Phelan from building a $2 billion electric vehicle battery plant across the street. The company says they plan to bring more than 2,000 jobs to the rural community, with the hiring process already underway.
Look at the support here. This is why I'm doing it. People ask me, why would you bring something like that to this community? It's because I love the community. And I had an opportunity to marry a good company with a good community, and it was a no-brainer to me. So I brought it here to help people I've never even met before.
Phelan and other pro-Goan supporters could be seen with their own signs at the entrance of Brock's farm.
We need jobs that provide middle-class wages, and Goan can do that, and will do that for us. I think we need to get to a point in time where we start focusing on the project and making sure that it's the most successful and the safest project that will benefit our community.
Taking the stage on the no Goan sign, Republican Mike Rogers, who is running for the open Senate seat against Democrat Alyssa Slotkin.
I've never seen something that divides a community like this in a way that is not good for America in so many ways.
The former congressman and current Senate candidate touched on popular talking points against the plant, including environmental concerns and connections with the Chinese Communist Party, something Phelan has denied in the past.
This benefits China. This isn't benefiting this community. We're going to do everything in our power. They're going to go to the courts. We have other ways that we're going to engage to stop this plant.
And that's the rundown for your week in Michigan politics. Be sure to keep up with all the top political stories of the day, both on air and online at 13onyourside.com. We'll see you next week.